All right. After watching the first Devil Wears Prada just a week ago, a beloved film and one I genuinely got a kick out of, I could tell a lot of you felt the same based on the reviews, word of mouth, and the many memes. So naturally, I went into this new film with similar expectations. But that being said, let's get into it. For a movie as recognized as The Devil Wears Prada, there's a lot of nostalgia tied to it for those who experienced the original back in 2006. And with that nostalgia always comes expectation and with it, hesitation. Can the same magic really be captured again? And luckily, this film already starts on solid footing. The same director is back at the helm, and much of the original cast has returned, which immediately gives it a sense of confidence and familiarity. And having seen the first one recently, I'm happy to report that much of the feel and tone of it carries over into this one, albeit over 20 years later. In terms of the story, it's a smart and logical continuation of our characters that we've come to recognize. Sure, it adds a few new characters, as what sequel doesn't, but it remains true to focusing on the characters that made the first one special. Given how the first movie ended, we could very well assume that Andrea wouldn't have crossed paths with Miranda, given her character arc in that film, but given the circumstances, she finds herself back in the building and back with the devil that wears Prada. There are several familiar nods to previous scenes of the first one, but it never treads on being too much while adding a bit of nuance to familiar environments that fans of the first one will no doubt recognize. And while Miranda Priestly continues to be the worst, but in the best way possible. She's still as cutthroat, calculated, and commanding as ever, and the film doesn't shy away from leaning into that. While parts of her arc feel familiar, almost like a retread of what we've already seen, there's a subtle shift this time around. Beneath the icy exterior, there's a growing awareness and understanding of the cost of her decisions and the people affected by them. It doesn't soften her entirely, but it adds just enough dimension to make her feel a bit different, especially given the time gap between the two films. Emily returns in a really interesting position, one that naturally creates friction with Miranda and Andrea. Their dynamic feels more layered now, shaped by time, experience, and everything that's happened before. There's still that sharp edge between them, especially Andrea and Emily, but it's no longer as toxic while sprinkling in moments of, dare I say, a possible friendship. However, the character who truly stole the show for me was Nigel. After all these years working side by side with Miranda, his heart remains intact, and that emotional core ends up grounding the film. It's his presence that elevates the story, given its weight and honestly, making it better than it might have been otherwise. Of course, the original film had no idea just how big it would become, and this sequel definitely leans into that legacy. There are plenty of cameos sprinkled throughout. While a few of them come and go quickly, they add to the sense that this world has grown beyond just the core characters. It's clear the film is aware of its cultural impact and isn't afraid to celebrate it. Even Lady Gaga herself made 3 new songs specifically for this film. So, in the end, the fates of Andrea, Miranda, and Emily, Nigel, remained intertwined. And much like in the original, their success, failures, and choices continue to ripple through one another's lives in very familiar ways. It echoes what made the first film work so well, while reminding us that even after all this time, these relationships and power dynamics within them haven't fully changed. I like this film, and if you haven't seen the first one yet, do yourself a favor and watch it before watching this one. If you enjoyed the original film, you'll no doubt have a fun time with this one, as well as much of the magic that worked for the first one is present here, albeit 20 years later. So yeah, go watch it. Thanks for watching this. This has been Film Sense with Brian. I'll catch you around on the next movie review. All right, bye guys.